Hello, once again, a very good afternoon to all our attendees and to all our panelists here today. So as you may know, today our programs are designed in such that, we learn through various perspectives on how we can transform the future of education, which is why we are very thrilled to have so many experts and also our principals from respective Chinese private high schools to share their experiences, their insights. And in this panel discussion, we will be able to exchange ideas and to see from the questions that we have asked previously, the surveys that we have had, and to sort of like put all these ideas and perspective into a collaborative effort from all of our panelists here today. So without further ado, I would like to first and foremost introduce the panelists that we have for today. First and foremost, we have from Cambridge Assessment English, Mr. Andrew Nye, the head of New Product Development. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Jason. Hi, everyone.
Great. And then we have also from Cambridge Assessment English, the Regional Commercial Director for the APAC region, Ms. Lim Cheng Pier. Hi, Ms. Lim.
That's my colleague. Thank you for coming here, Andrew.
It's great to see you too, Ms. Lim. And up next, we've heard from her. She is the Director of Strategic Collaboration from Huawei Malaysia, Ms. Connsynn. So hi, Ms. Connsynn.
Hi. Thanks for having me here today. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Now, up next, we have a very special guest from TM1, the Vertical Director of Education, Iskandar bin Iskak. Hi, Iskandar.
Everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
All right, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
It's good to have you, Iskandar. And then we have the principals from three very special Chinese private high schools that we had the opportunity to hear from this morning. First and foremost, we have Mr. Ng, the principal of Ling Private High School. Hi, Mr. Ng.
Yeah, hi, Mr. Johnson. Yeah, hi, everybody.
It's good to have you. And up next, we have the principal of Kwang Private High School, Klang, Madam Seah. Hi, Madam Seah. Madam Seah, I think you're muted.
Oh, yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Madam Seah. And lastly, we have Dr. Sua here, the principal of Zhonghua High School, Seremban. Hi, Dr. Sua.
Hello, everyone.
It's great to finally see you as well. So yes. Good to hear that the videos are working well. And lastly, we have a very special guest all the way from Hong Kong. So she is the CEO of Synergy Education Hong Kong, one of the largest English private education sectors, serving over 200,000 students across 600 schools. And we are very privileged to have her here today to share this session with her, Miss Angel Cheung. Hi, Miss Angel.
Oh, hello.
All right. Thank you all for joining us in this panel discussion. So we are going to jump straight into the questions. Now, first and foremost, I'd like to address this question to the principal, specifically Madam Seah. Yeah. So as a principal, what are some of the key challenges and the solutions that you have observed in delivering online education? So today we have talked a lot about online learning as such, especially for the English language. So what are your thoughts on what are your experiences in the key challenges that you have faced in the schools and the solutions that you have come up with?
All right, thank you, Jason. Actually, basically, three of us are actually administrators, but we are also involved with this English teaching in the school. So I can see that for these 2 days, many of the things has been discussed, like today again, some of the challenges already discussed by the panelists yesterday, and also the best practice sharing by Mr. Ng and Ms. Dr. Sua also. But anyway, I would like to repeat one more time one of the very challenging challenge that faced by all teachers. First of all, I would like to say a salute to all the teachers, the frontliners. You are the one who make the whole of the school great. Okay. Now, secondly, this is about the participation, the active participation of the students, which many teachers find it very difficult, especially last year. This year slightly better, but somehow if the teacher were to talk and ask them for activity, without any digital tools or discussion, I think, what do you think? Somehow they'll go somewhere else, wander somewhere else, and some of them will just play some other games under counter. So this is a challenge that I suppose all teachers face, even now that 40 over 50 students in the class, what do I expect? So the only solution is to make ourselves interesting. All right, how? Okay, then we have, so to say, the use of games, digital tools, and a variety of virtual platforms. But there is one thing today, of course, all these that normally I see the teachers use to be things like Presentation Plus. That I have to praise you afterwards. Then we have this Padlet and Spiral AC. But here, I'm not here to praise Cambridge, but I just want to frankly thank Cambridge for the effort you have done. Because of this Presentation Plus, whereby I call it a one-stop station to buy all things, a hypermarket. Because this Present Plus itself contains all this, actually it has all the content by this Cambridge textbook and as well as the workbook. That saved a lot of our English teachers' time and saved their headache. This is very important. And here, this is one thing which I want to tell our fellow friends who are not still using Cambridge textbook. No, I'm not promoting for Cambridge. I'm telling the truth that it has been very useful to our kids and our teachers. Number two, they so far haven't seen anybody discuss except Connsynn. It is about assessment online. And nowadays our kids are so attached to internet. So what do I expect when they have assessment exam online? My school, the teachers kept saying, how could it be possible that they wouldn't refer to material, so to say, copy, cheating? But I say, well, we just have got to try. We've got to teach the children to be autonomous learners. So anyway, the exam, I just want to say, exam is already gone. Then the written exam and so on, they have to use things like Camila, other digital advice to, so to say, to mark papers and so on. Now, I heard just now, I think this Andrew talk about it, about exam, something like that. I think Connsynn also talk about it, whereby 5,000 people in Singapore, maybe afterwards you can share with us. Okay, for this, I will stop here. There are so many of you, I'm willing to listen more than to talk more. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Seah. And I like how you mentioned about the online assessment and, engaging online contents to really help delivering the online lessons. And I believe that you also speak on behalf of Mr. Ng and Dr. Sua as well on these solutions. Maybe we can hear from our special guests from Hong Kong to hear from their perspectives, how as you run your private education centers, as you deliver your lessons online, what are some of the key challenges you faced, and what are some of the solutions that you have come up with? And we would love to hear from you, Angel.
Thank you very much for your question, Jason. I think I noticed most challenging question from student or difficulty, it's about the learning style. I think the learning style in the real face-to-face classroom already very, dynamic. We have students very quiet, we have students like screaming, running around. But in the Zoom classroom, because they study at their home, and so for those quiet students, they become more quiet, like ghosts, disappear. We can't find them, but also we try to restrict our online classroom, the size around 6 to 8 students, not more than 8 students. Because I think different from face-to-face, we may have a class up to 15 or 20 students. It's quite difficult for the online class, but we don't want it too small, like just 2 or 3. Because interaction will be restricted. So we try to arrange our classes around 5 to 8 students, and we find it's a very good size because less technical problem, and they can have more interaction because they can still answer teachers' question. And I have to say that a Cambridge book, it's a very excellent, because we are now using can you see? We are using Supermind for our online classes. And maybe Jason, you can help me to share a video that I want to let everyone to see how our student can interact with our teacher with Supermind materials.
All right, sure, Angel. I will share it on my end here.
Okay, because you can find in the video that there are lots of games they can play with the teacher.
Nadia, could you be the astronaut?
Is this Ugg?
Yes, it is.
What do you do?
I'm a baker.
Can you tell me about your family?
Yes, I've got 700 sisters.
What is Ugg like?
It's very green. Okay, so that was...
Interesting.
So looking at the pictures, can you guess who is the carpenter? What does he do?
I think maybe is tell some people how to make a table.
Okay, you're close. Your answer is close. Actually, carpenter is the person who designs and makes some simple furniture. Okay, so we need to look at the pictures. We need to describe how they're different now.
Before Uncle John, he had no mustache.
Dash, good. And he had?
And he has long hair.
Very good.
Now Uncle John has short hair and has a mustache.
Well done. And he has a mustache. Good. But we say Uncle John has, not have. Okay? But well done.
Listen.
There's nothing in a box.
I'm gonna give Nadia.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Jason. So we find that our kids actually they like Supermind material a lot because for very young kids, 5-6 years old, they like singing activity. So they feel very excited every time that they can sing the songs. And after singing, their spirit is very high. And so it's very good that time they can learn new things. So I find that Cambridge, this Supermind material is very interactive enough for online learning. Okay, that's my sharing.
All right, thank you, Angel. I can see like a recurring theme here where we talk a lot about engaging online contents, and a lot of you brought up like Cambridge. And I like that you use a very different solution. You scale down your classes into a smaller size, but I don't think that would be very applicable to like a Chinese private high school context. But still, thank you for sharing, and that's how you are able to meet some of these, to combat some of the challenges here. Well, up next, I think maybe we can hear from Miss Lim. So Miss Lim, you have been, you are the Regional Director of Cambridge Assessment English, and then you have a lot of institutions that comes to you, and then you have worked together with them, you and your team especially. So I'm pretty sure that you can you do hear some of these key challenges. So maybe you can share with us some solutions that you have and you and your team have observed throughout.
I wouldn't say that we have a lot of solutions because it is a very evolving journey, isn't it, when we come to online learning and assessment. And Andrew and I here, my colleague, is the expert, so I have to be very careful what I say as well. So I would say that the question is a very big and complex one. Perhaps I can just focus a little bit more, perhaps from a more customer experience perspective, and allow me to maybe narrow it down to 3 broad categories. So I would say customer experience, access, and perhaps impact. So in terms of customer experience, here we are narrowing it down again to candidates and teachers. So for example, making high quality and relevant content and customer experience engaging are very important for us, and also appropriately placed for the right target age group, that is key to us as well. Maintaining the courses, the tests, and the games is very time consuming and very resource intensive. So what we do is we engage our stakeholders from ministries, exam delivery partners, schools, universities, and corporate on continuous dialogue for suggestions, improvement, and perhaps piloting of new product and services. So that in a nutshell, I would just summarize very quickly under the customer experience part. For access, I would say that, for example, according to UNICEF, more than half of the world's children and young people are on the wrong side of the digital divide. So limiting the access to the same opportunities as their connected peers. So even computer or technology hardware, such as phones and tablets, operating systems are not universally available to learners everywhere. So technology access can therefore be a thing that is socially polarizing and disadvantageous to the poorer community. So we see during this pandemic with schools closure and in many parts of the world and closer to us, even in Singapore, radio and television were used to conduct lessons. So during the start of COVID, we at Cambridge English, we have also provided free teaching materials to ministries of education in ASEAN. Some of our partners also collaborate with relevant authority or corporate to provide Cambridge English qualification as part of their CSR, what we call Corporate Social Responsibility Outreach Program. So the third one on impact, I would say that at Cambridge English, we help learners learn English and prove their skills to the world. We want to be part of all our learners' learning journey. Malaysia, of course, or Malaysians are not unfamiliar with the Common European Framework of Reference, a global standard used to gauge the English language proficiency. This is because at Cambridge English, we have worked with the Ministry of Education on Malaysia on the alignment of English language teaching based on the Common European Framework of Reference. I would also like to say that we are very proud that we have 3 or 4 Malaysian students that have given us their testimonials on their learning journey from pre-A1 to C2 and sharing their impact of having a Cambridge English qualifications on their current university choice. So do let us know if any of the schools here are interested to be part of our impact study. This is a continuous learning journey. I would like to say also that during this pandemic, many teachers are still teaching what we call the socially distant classrooms. Just last week, we hosted a webinar called Teaching and Learning During COVID, where we also provide free teaching resources, including teachers' blogs. I will share the link with all in the chat box later. So in conclusion, I would like to say that delivering online education assessment is not simply solution-based, but rather it is a continuous forward-looking journey where we at Cambridge English is proud to be the leader in this area to help learners learn English and prove their skills to the world. Thank you. Jason, you're on mute.
Yes, I realized that. But thank you, Cheng Pier, for really wrapping up that whole question. And I like how you used the word moving forward, because that whole entire question was asked and phrased in such a way that it's present. But now we want to look into the next question, where we talk about the future and the future for English education. So I would like to ask first and foremost, Mr. Ng, the principal of Chung Ling. Yeah. What, in your view, as a principal, is the way forward for English education? You know, how might teaching and learning of English becomes different in 10 years to come? Maybe you can share with us your view on that.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Good afternoon to everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes,
okay,
loud and clear.
Yeah. To ensure that students continue to learn English effectively in the next 10 years, to me, English teaching needs to be changed or adjusted. Nowadays, there are many resources and people students can learn English from. However, teachers and students should be the main models of each other. I would like to share with you all some ideas that my school has been trying and considering to improve students' English learning. First, our school has just set up a broadcasting studio and team, and we are looking into having experienced teachers and anyone who has good teaching ideas to record their lessons. This will be benefit newly recruited teachers as they could learn good teaching practices from their seniors and inspire and motivate everyone else to improve their teaching. Teachers could also join together and come up with a collaborative video, just like the video we have shown just now during my sharing section. Such videos could be used when teachers are absent due to official reason or sick leave, and it could be played during relief periods. This can also be students' references, especially for those who are absent or find it difficult to catch up with the lessons, giving them the opportunity to revise and self-study at home. Second, we have a group of students called the English Ambassador of Eloquence or EAE Club. They are selected for their high proficiency in English, and we would like them to create discussion group in their own classes to help students practice their communication skills. We have just recently come to a partnership with the New York Times, wanting to incorporate their news articles and application into our school's reading program. Those EAE members will be trained to help promote these activities, meaning that teachers and students will work together to promote English activities in school. Next, there are a few things I would like to share about teachers and on their roles in the future. In principle, teachers still play the main role in teaching and learning English, no matter the changing trends in education. However, with the improvements in technology, teachers need to learn to guide students in their own learning. No longer the students should be spoon-fed, but be responsible for their own learning with the teacher's guidance. More training is needed on technology and subject matter. We are thinking of having a standard language proficiency test like APTIS or Cambridge English. I believe that all of you would agree that teachers who perform well will be rewarded, and those who need work, we will give them given further training so that everyone will be up to the level. We have a standard 40 hours training every year to make sure teachers have adequate improvements on their skills and increase in the knowledge. It is also important for teachers to find suitable and convenient tools to help them with their teaching, like free grammar checkers and quiz settings to help with identifying errors and auto corrections. We all know that the more students practice on the language skills, the more they will improve. But may I know how many essay writing we have given students in a year? Maybe 5, 8, 10 or more. But why should we limit our students on the numbers of writing? Of course, we know that marking takes time and effort, and we have to be reasonable with the numbers of writing we could give and mark. Auto marking applications are currently available. So in future, we would have to integrate technology like this in our homework marking. We could assign detailed marking on specified handwritten essays, and students can submit their own work in soft copy for quick marking with auto marking applications. This gives opportunity for most practices to students while not burdening teachers at the same time. So students can also use these tools to their advantage. They can get immediate feedback and suggestions, which gives them more confidence to practice and express themselves in the language. Given that these are all done with the computer, we are indirectly training students to make use of technology for the future job requirements. For now, we could think and hope for many changes in teaching, but we won't be making any difference if we do not change the way we assess and present students' performance. There is the need to change the way we assess our students. All 4 skills of English, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, must be included in our assessments and presented in our school's reports. With that, in order to fulfill all these requirements, we need to change the way we teach students, like having more discussions, collaborative work, presentation, sharing, and relevant activities to be able to train our students to meet the learning objectives. So having a free classroom model is one way to do that. Teachers can record their topics presentations and students can do their own learning at home. When it comes to lesson time, teachers do not need to work on the topics again, but have discussion and activities to make sure students can get what the teachers want them to learn. This saves time for revision and everyone gets to learn the topics at their own pace. They would have more practices in applying their knowledge in school. This, however, requires students to be independent and responsible for their own learning. So these are what we have in mind for now with regards to the changes in the education we want to see. I believe some of you here would have similar or better ideas, and I hope what I share would be of benefit to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ng. I can visualize that, learners are taking their own initiative, they're responsible for their own learning journey, and teachers are there to really facilitate their learning during class, as you were saying. And that sounds like a great future for English education. So maybe we can also hear from Dr. Sua. Dr. Sua is the principal from Chonghua Seremban on some of these thoughts of yours, how teaching and learning of English can be different in 10 years to come. Dr. Sua?
You see, what Chonghua doing is before the pandemic, for English, we bring the student out from the class. We do a lot of outreach. That is before the pandemic appears. But we stopped that one. During that time, almost every student, they got the chance to go out with a team. And then they visit a lot of places, to market, to tourist center, to factory, and then they interview everyone, and then they communicate. They try to use the English to communicate with everyone, and then they come back to the school, and then they prepare the presentation in the group, and then they present in the assembly. That is the before the pandemic. But all these things getting over, stop, and then because of the pandemic, we can't go to doing outreach language, go out, and then we do it online. So the school, the English group teacher, they do it online. They still doing the outreach, but they doing the online. And then Cambridge book is one of the very useful tools to start this online. So we can see the result, and then we can see the effectiveness of the student, that they still carry on the activity, but everything is online because since school being asked to close, everyone stay at home, study at home. So until now, just like what Madam Chia and Mr. Ng's school, that we still practice the usual that what we maintain for the previously, but you will add on the new technology to come in. Later on, I think I will be on the question 4, how to utilize the technology tools to go on it. So this is what currently that Chonghua Seremban is doing. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Dr. Sua. And well, that's really great to hear. And I know more about technological stuffs later. So speaking of technology, we have 2 representatives from the technological giants of companies here. We have Iskandar from TM1, and then we have Connsynn from Huawei. So I would like to ask this question. Maybe I address that to Iskandar first. What role do you think technology will play in the future of education? I know this is a bit broad, but we would love to hear your perspective of it.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
All right, thank you. First and foremost, thank you for GPAC for inviting me in the session. And thank you again for all the teachers in the session. I'm a father of 3, all right? My eldest is Form 1. And I saw her from the start of the pandemic into today. I'm very proud to say that thank you to you. I've seen her grow in terms of her skills, in terms of developing content. And I echo back what Principal Mr. Sua mentioned about previously before the pandemic. They had students going out and then experiencing for themselves. Imagine what is going to happen once we have students who are fully equipped in terms of content development now, after the pandemic, into the endemic period, moving out and creating more and more content. And I think that's the base of what I'm trying to say, which is item number 3, is actually the form of in 10 years to come, where do we as technological giant build in terms of the future of education, especially in English learning. As opposed to Alan in day 1, he mentioned that he liked to have the base, the pizza base, right? So I'm an engineer, right, by profession. So I like to build. So in TM, we akin ourselves to the backbone, all right, of the nation in terms of digital infrastructure. But education, teachers, the ecosystem is actually the backbone of the nation for the future, for 10 years to come. Without education, proper, strong education, we cannot have the future resources that we are going to have to deploy for the good of our nation. And that's very, very critical, and that's very important. So therefore, what is really the role of technology? Is really there are 3. Number 1, in terms of access. Number 2 is really in terms of the tools that is available via cloud that is more effective. And number 3 is really in terms of the content. So I think number 1, in terms of the access, is important to bridge the digital divide in terms of accessing the remote areas and also the cities. And this is where we as in TM really dig down to provide to all the nation in terms of access of fiber and equal access via the internet. And case in point, where we have done a study whereby we had students going up to a teaching facility that we have in Pekan, in areas in Pahang, whereby we had then a tutor in the main Pekan city of Kuantan, and they were teaching across that divide, and that is all available and possible by having that access from a remote from that particular setup that we have done in the Pekan, in Kuantan to in Pekan, and then to the city in Kuantan. And imagine if we have somebody from UK who impersonate as maybe Elsa, all right, teaching to our children here in Malaysia, how happy would that be? And how engaging would that be for them? And that is something very, very important, and it's something that we take our pride in ourselves to help to boost up the level of access into education. And number two, in terms of the tools, effective tools via cloud. This is where we are partnering with technology giants like Huawei to provide accessible technology, scalable, that we can bring across whomever, whenever that they want. And in this case, I refer back to what mentioned by Dr. Alina, I think, in terms of the assessment of communication language, communicatable language of English assessment. There has to be anytime and anywhere. Then has to be automated as well. And this is all can be made possible by the partnership that we are made with Huawei in terms of doing it down via cloud. And this is something that we believe that if we work together, we're able to move in strides to achieve whatever requirements and future aspiration that we have for Malaysia. And I think number three, in terms of content. Content is actually, I agree, if you have one thing that we have to do more, is really content. And content can come from three different parts from my point of view. It's from the students themselves. As I mentioned, they have learned a lot in terms of doing video content, making up stuff. And I would say that my daughter is much more better than me in doing video-based content. And imagine when they are let loose on the world, when things are back to semi-normal again, there'll be a huge amount of content that is available that is being made by our own students. So that's one, right? And number two, in terms of the content that we can have between partnership industry and also the education industry. And this is something that TM is doing via what we call in a program called TM Future Skills, whereby we anchor at our aspiration of the workforce in the future. What is the required skills and acumen that we know that is critical? We set them, we detail that into what is required now for the students. And that program is actually what we call as TM Future Skill, now being rolled out in PPD Pudu and Bangsa for around 21 schools. I think some of the schools here are part of that. And we have received a huge amount of support and also enthusiasm from students alike ongoing on this, knowing that it's not just English, it's science, technology. It's also one of the key criteria in the future. And this is an area that where we in PM know that is important for us as well. So summing up again, number one, thank you very much for all the teachers ecosystem over here. And then from our point of view, how do we play a part is in the three key aspects: bridging the digital divide via the access. Number two is actually providing a scalable, feature-rich content available to the cloud for everyone, anytime, anywhere. And number three is rolling out our sleeve in developing content that is required for the future, because we are, as industry, at the forefront of the domain. And we see far ahead in terms of what are required. And this is what we can inform back to the teaching fraternity. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Encik Iskandar. And speaking about cloud and how it can help to give accessibility, I have to direct this question to Connsynn as well. Maybe you can share your point of view, being the strategic collaborator, especially on cloud and AI. What are your thoughts on this?
Thanks, Jason. And thanks, Jay. So can I take a few first few minutes to address what Madam Seah just mentioned, like the AI proctoring for the 5,000 students? So I just to give some perspective, like, yeah, we know like gamifications is greatly discussed as well in these 2-day sessions and whatnot. Coming from an Asia background and raised by an Asian parents, we know that we need somehow something to help us to see if what we thought or what in the teaching and learning, have it gained any outcome, if it's driving towards the outcome we want. So there comes examinations. We know the fact that a lot of schools or at certain level of schools will have waived examinations, but also we know the fact that to check and balance, this is a process that we need to go through as well. Therefore, the AI proctoring systems is actually addressing this part of it, that the machines It's helping us to monitor and do the assessments and then provide us the monitoring that we need when in person we can't do it. So to come back to your questions, like as a technology perspective from Huawei, technology is an enabler to enable all the experience or needs of what we need in the teaching and learning process. So just put it in a perspective, like I know, I also want to resonate what Mr. Andrew mentioned just now. We do not want robot to teach our kids. We have no intention to go into that direction. But we do want the machines, the platforms or the technology to help us doing things that is less fun. So teaching and learning is fun and feeling. Human being will do it. The teachers will do it. The students will enjoy the whole process. But the monitoring of the examination is no fun. Because basically the monitor will just have to sit there and then observe. There's no human interaction allowed in an examination. Just a matter of fact, right? So we have the machines who is good at doing this kind of jobs to help us doing this part of it. While the rest of it is technology also enable the interactions between the human being. So coming back to Huawei, our vision is to bring digital to every person, home, and organization for a fully connected and intelligent world. That means the interactions between human beings for a better world. So observing the past 30 years, technology has greatly reduced the cost of education and information access. So moving forward, we believe that digital solutions will help to transform the education systems worldwide. As of today, the online teaching has become the norm, actually. So creating new opportunities for global education systems. So what do you mean by like digital educations? So in general, educations require quality, balance, personalizations. To this end, the digital solutions brought by Huawei and partners actually brings student-centered hybrid learning and digital classroom solutions with the aim of delivering quality education resources to all. So teachers can now be able to teach and reach a higher number of students online, meaning that the huge problem of shortage of good teachers can be reduced. We no longer confined to, like, for example, in the past, when we have a good teacher, real good, someone we invited from, say, Cambridge for a class, a special class in a school or in a classroom. The maximum that we can take for that class, maybe it's confined to the classroom, maybe the 100 people, 1,000 people. But with technology, perhaps we can invite the teacher, the famous super good teacher, and deliver the same class accessible to thousands or even 10,000s of people at the same time. So this is how technology actually bring educations to everyone. That's how we believe it is the power of technology. And as defined by United Nations, digital skills and literacy are not just the foundation for the digital economy. It's also a basic human right, we believe. So to achieve this, we are working together with our partners such as TM1 in East to bring the education for all that is powered by the cloud and connectivity technology. Thank you.
Thanks, Connsynn. And we really do look forward to that sort of future where we can integrate all this together. Now, we did hear a lot about, learners creating their own learning content, setting their own learning journey and such. But I do have to ask this, just now Connsynn mentioned we study in an Asian context, in local education context, right? We sometimes do prioritize the accumulation of factual information at the expense of students' critical thinking and creativity. Teachers are constantly drilling grammar rules. As such, we were listening to them yesterday during Dr. Evelina's speech. So I do have to ask Andrew about this. Do you think technology has the potential to sort of shift this paradigm in our local education?
Great, thanks, Jason.
You're welcome.
So, yeah, I mean, it's there's as has been said before, these questions are so broad and so complex. So I guess a couple of thoughts about that. I think if we if we just think back a little bit over the last kind of 5-10 years, I think certainly what I've seen is the kind of pendulum swing from the kind of techno optimists to now people kind of asking some of the questions that I talked about in my talk, that, you know, is technology really going to solve all these problems that 10 years ago we thought they would? And I think one of the things that certainly became clear during the pandemic is that it's not, learning is not a transactional experience. I think, you know, that became clear to all of us, that there's a relational and a social aspect of learning that's really important, and a lot of students missed that during the pandemic, and a lot of schools struggled to replicate that. So I think it's really important that we think about what's the kind of optimal blended solution or blended methodology that seamlessly integrates online and face-to-face teaching. And you know, I haven't seen yet an effective way that technology is addressing the social nature of learning. So I think it's really important to just kind of settle that out. And I think once we've kind of accepted that, then I think some of the points that have been made, I completely agree with. Technology can help solve a lot of the problems that teachers and learners experience. And I think, you know, some of the kind of some of the learning of facts is definitely one of those things. So I'd like to see in the future much more kind of independent, autonomous learning of facts and content, and then with students coming together in physical spaces to discuss and use the knowledge that they've learned in social groups. And I think, you know, it's true of anything that any of us learn, whether it's English or anything else, that, you know, like yoga, for example, I'm learning at the moment and I'm going to yoga classes to try and get better and better. And you can't be creative in anything that you're learning until you've learned a kind of basic level of knowledge and facts and skills. And that's, you know, that's what I see in my yoga practice. You know, my face-to-face classes couldn't happen during the pandemic, so it was all online, and I was trying to practice on my own and do my own thing, and it didn't really work very well because I haven't yet achieved that basic level that you need before you can start being creative. So I think yes, technology can help, and I think the challenge for us is to get to that optimal blend where we can integrate online and face-to-face. And I think just a couple of other points to make is that I think, you know, we do need to recognize, I think, that we need to start assessing different things. And some people are kind of saying, oh, we need less assessment. Actually, I think we probably need more assessment, but of different things and for different purposes. And you know, we can capture through assessments cognitive, social and emotional attributes if we want to, so that we measure just not only academic achievements, but also socio-emotional skills, problem solving, you know, how students interact in teamwork. I think all of those things we need to start thinking about how we assess those. And linked to that, I think, you know, we've talked quite a bit about teachers. I think we need to think about, as well as technology to support this, how teaching methodologies need to evolve so that we start to focus on developing those autonomous learning skills in students. How do we help teachers do that?
Oh, thank you, Andrew. That's really refreshing. And, you know, you putting a spin on yoga's class to help us illustrate that better. Well, maybe a little bit close to home, we can ask Dr. Sua, what are your thoughts about, you know, technology has this sort of potential to shift this mindset when it comes to not just teaching facts and stuff like that. Dr. Sua.
Yeah, Based on Andrew's just now some thought on it, I remember back to 15 years ago, 15 years, I lead a team of principals from Malaysia. We visit Republic Polytechnic Singapore. This institution during that time is a first institution in Singapore. They start a so-called system called problem-based learning with Wi-Fi system. The student and then the facilitator, the teacher itself, they don't have any book at all. So the student, they were separate to a few groups, and then they give a problem for them to solve, and then they were dismissed, and then they'll go around the campus anywhere, anytime, and then they do they try to collect their information, and then they come back with a Wi-Fi online system. The time it's the first time that we from Malaysian, and then we approached this, and then most of the principals said we can't do it for Malaysian secondary school, because that will be on the university level. And then the kid, they had to know, just like what Mr. Andrew said, that you must learn the basic, you must hold a basic knowledge to cope up to how to go and collect the knowledge, extra knowledge. But that time we didn't know that with the added of the new technology that they can do it very easily. Now 15 years now come to this, the time passing through, and then we can see that just like Iskandar said, that the technology get improved, and then get modification, and then the users, the friendly use, and then the tools have been created, and then the massive amounts of information like books, audio, or images or videos are available in just one fingertips to the internet nowadays. Well, this thing come true, even though not even on the middle school, even it's go down to a primary school. But one in my thought that education and learning for technology, not even the student, but teacher itself, they are facing some, they have some challenge on it. So can I share the screen? I think I do a share screen on it. Okay. There's you can see, imagine the classroom now, 21st century classroom. There are many type of technology tools being used. Everyone try to grab a new technology tools to implement in the school. Well, but a lot of people, they've been forgotten that the person to use, they really understand that the useful tools or the functions of the tools or application of the tools. So actually, like a teacher, like my school teacher, they had to break some barrier on it. The barrier is some sort of like equipments, resources, or trainings. So we still had to put all this to let them break the first barrier. The second barrier is teacher and the student is their confident, they have the skill or not, and then the attitude to use the tools. So all these things will come in, even though the new technology is there, is there. So, but we had to think about it. So even though in school the type of technology maybe the student use can boost their learning quality, but on the other way around, maybe they can harm it also. So we're having the classroom while for student internet access, they've been shown that they will show that they were distancing the learning instead of from the traditional way that face to face, that maybe with the eye contact of the teacher, well, they can learn more. But from different angle, that maybe for those potential very aggressive student, maybe they can dig more knowledge. For those regions or maybe less confidence student, well, they just hang around, This happened to, I think, most of school now, even during pandemic, fully online. We can't access 100% the whole, just now, as what I say on the earlier. So this is the thing we think about it. And there's another one is social media, Facebooks or other type of Twitters. Well, the quality of use of this social media to the student, and then whether they going to believe it 100%, or they're going to they didn't come in second thought of their mind to analyze the information that on the social media. If they absorb it all, maybe they might have a problem with them also. So all my conclusion that even the new technologies or the potential of technology to switch the paradigms of the critical thinking or the creativity thinking of the student, we still had to think about it, whether it's suitable or not, or whether it's reliable or not, to let our teacher and the student to use it. Well, for technology giants like TNet or Huawei or other, normally you all have been gone through so many maybe some specialized or some analyzing of using on it. So but why this thing come to school, we as a principal, I think we had to consider about the teacher and the student. This is my viewpoint on it, right? Okay.
All right, thank you, Dr. Sua. Now, we don't really have much time left, but I do have one final question that I would love to ask Encik Iskandar and also Andrew about. You know, a lot of attendees here, they are very interested in finding out what are some of the latest technology that are out there that will be able to help enhance their quality of teaching, learning, and assessments, you know, especially for the English language. I know Connsynn has shared a lot about the cloud and AI. Maybe Encik Iskandar, you can share, and Andrew, you as well, on your thoughts. What are some of the latest technology?
Okay. Thank you, Jason. I'll just make this very quick. Thank you for the question. So the problems that are plaguing teacher and students are the same problem that is plaguing employees and employers, whereby you do not know as an employee whether your staff are doing work or not, or whether when they are attending meetings, are they concentrating on the points that you're talking about or not, which is the same thing that is happening on a classroom. All right. And therefore, in recent innovation that we have on cloud, which is why we're partnering with Huawei, is that there are also AI ability to understand and monitor facial expressions in terms of the teams that are attending, to see whether they're interested or not. And then especially when we go through assessments, it's actually an indicator of how focused have they been, or were they not focused in whatever that has been talked about. And that's the same thing that I do whenever I have sessions with my team. If you notice, I will start with 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. And that's what we call a term, as we learn in McKinsey, called MISI, all right? And that's the way how we try to structure ourselves while communicating non-visually. And that's where I say that the practices, it's not just the tools, that's not the technology and tools, it's actually the practice itself. the practice of embedding maybe ELSA in the education to make it much more interesting. The practice and tools to be endowed to the teachers themselves on how to get students motivated and also focusing on what is being said, and for us as parents on how to share devices with our children. So I mean that's the way how things are. Thank you.
All right,
Andrew?
thank you, Encik Iskandar. Yeah, Miss Andrew.
Sure, I'll be really quick. So just to share a couple of thoughts. Yeah, so the first thing is not so much the technology, but it's just what we get through a lot of the digital advancement is data, which is obviously crucial in or potentially really significant in how education moves forward. So what is going to be possible increasingly is moving away from kind of point in time assessments, the kind of summative assessments, to more ongoing formative assessments, which is going to be possible through all the data that we capture. And I think that's going to be really significant. But as we create all these hundreds and hundreds of data points around which we capture information about students, I think there's a really important ethical question. Well, there's a number of important ethical questions that we have to consider, because whilst it may be helpful for students to move away from these kind of fixed point in time assessments, which a lot of them tell us they find quite stressful, and move more towards ongoing formative assessment, are we going to be inadvertently creating a future where actually students find their future being determined by algorithms, not by humans, and we get into this kind of brave new world that isn't perhaps something that we actually intended. So I think there's something really important about data that we have to think really carefully about. The other thing I'd say, and obviously, actually, sorry, before I say the other thing, obviously, the other thing that all of that enables is personalized learning. So we've just talked briefly this morning, this afternoon, about personalized education, but obviously through data and AI, all of that becomes much more real for students, that they have a kind of learning pathway which is directed to them and their particular needs. And just quickly, Jason, the other thing I'd say is around the kind of convergence between the digital world and the physical world. So I think what's interesting is when we start to see augmented reality coming together with artificial intelligence and gamification. And we don't really see it much at the moment, but augmented reality is interesting in the sense that it overlays digital information that is locationally specific in our physical world. So, you stand in front of a building or a statue or a work of art, and or even stand in front of another person, and you learn information about those things. That then becomes super interesting if you add in artificial intelligence to that, so that you can interact with those objects that you're looking at. So that's something way into the future that I think will be really interesting if we can get there.
Thank you, Andrew. Interesting thoughts indeed. Well, we don't have much time now, so I would like to say thank you to all our panelists here. It has been a very interesting discussions that we have had here today. Special thanks to Encik Iskandar, Mr. Ng, Angel, Ms. Lim, Andrew, Dr. Sua, Madam Seah, and also Connsynn for your time and to participate in this panel discussion where we exchange ideas and such. So thank you once again for joining us. And love to hear from all of you guys soon. Thank you, guys.